We're back.
Was a lot.
We're back. All right. Well, Devo, welcome to the Pals Podcast.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Yeah. I know we've been trying to do this. We had we had a little date mix up earlier on this year, so it's glad that we finally got you in the studio.
Yeah. When did we start? Like, I was telling somebody earlier today, I'm like, I gotta go do this podcast, and I think we've been trying to do this for 2 months.
Yeah. Basically.
But
I
it's
think
worked
the
out.
first,
It's
yeah,
good.
so now it worked out.
We're here. It worked
finally.
out.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's a nice space.
Thanks, man.
I
Thank
like
you.
it.
This is Georgie's home.
Is your home?
Yeah, that's so.
Oh.
Yeah, I know we
okay.
mentioned it before. Like
Yeah.
we actually, when we started this, we're like, where are we gonna do it? You know, everyone who does podcasts is a cool space, and
Yeah.
I have a little mini nook office up there, and that's where we did it. But you know, after a while, like you were saying, it's a little more comfortable here, a little more space, and also like you gotta kind of go upstairs, and it's like, hey, you want to come up? And it's kind of a, you know, get that weird.
Especially when you got girls that you don't know, right?
Like, nope. We're good. We're gonna stay downstairs.
Yeah, you know, like it worked out. It's a
nice
good
space,
vibe.
man.
Thank you, appreciate
You're welcome,
it.
man.
Yeah.
But we want to get right into it. So we obviously know your TV personality, radio. Who is the coolest person that you've met or got to interview in your career?
Wow, you coming in hot with this.
Yeah, do you know what? We always get into it slow. I'm like, I want to get right into it.
No, this guy's not playing. Okay, it's gotta be Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
Like,
Ho.
I'm gonna throw the big name. I'm name drop him quickly. Jay-Z 3 times.
3 times.
3 times.
Wow.
The third time was the best. It was the Blueprint 3 album.
Okay, yeah.
And we sat down and went like track for. We sat like this literally in our studio for the radio station I was at the time, which was Flow, which was a hip hop station.
Yeah, 93.5.
Yeah, and so he sat on the couch. I was in a chair. We had 2 mics. We're chilling. We had his rider, which was like some champagne,
crazy
grapes and cheese and all that. He literally took 2 sips because we were doing this. We were just going back and forth, and he was so engaging and engaged, and he makes you feel super important when you talk to him. And, you know, the one thing he said at the end, like he gave me a big hug, and he was like, yo, thanks for this. And I'm like, no, thank you. He goes, no, I needed this. And I was like, what? And he goes, listen, man, you can learn from anybody. He goes, I learned from you today. He goes, somebody that's cleaning up in the toilets or whatever, I can learn from them if you just take the time to listen. This is like the biggest dude in the game just saying, yeah, cool, thanks, appreciate you. And I was like, what? Yo, I don't care what happens the rest of my career. This one, I'm done. I'm done. This is it. I made it. This is it. So that's
that's the difference. I was gonna say that's the difference with like a guy who's like a professional, right? Like you can, a lot of guys get famous, and I'm sure you've come across a lot of famous people.
Yeah.
But being like, you know, when you make that pinnacle, like he understands kind of all aspects, right? Like you can be super talented and make it here, but how you treat people, how you carry yourself, how you make others feel around you, like he probably made you feel like you're more important than he was.
Completely. And the thing was, it was a matter of listening.
Yeah.
And that's what it was for him. For him was the fact that, like, you know, early on, probably about a minute in, I flipped a line that he said to me right back to him. And he started to respond, and then he goes, you're sharp. I like that. And he stopped. Like, he stopped when his train of thought because he caught it, and he was like, okay, I see that you got something there. So then he, you know, any questions, at that point, he hadn't talked about the Beanie Siegel incidents and stuff like that, you know, and all that drama, and he talked about it in that interview, and that was the first time he'd ever brought it up. So he
it's
felt
like
comfortable.
like a first exclusive, yeah.
Yeah, and then even that was right after he got married to Beyonce. You know, we were told specifically, don't ask. No questions about it. And I asked it in a roundabout way, which is like something as simple as, you know, the way you're writing tracks now and the way you're coming up with the music, is it different now as a married man? Never said her name once, whatever. And he's like, oh, dude, let me tell you. And he just like opened up. And he wanted to talk about it at that point because he was comfortable. So it's you know, it's how you make people feel in that moment. And, you know, we just clicked, and dude,
that's awesome.
It's funny you say that because we talk about this too. We've had so many guests on now, and by the time this airs, we're probably like 54, 55 episodes in now. And, you know, so we've had, let's say 35, 40 guests. And there's some guests that we bring on, and it's me and George carrying the conversation. And then there's other ones we bring on. We'll ask them one question. They'll tell us these like 4 crazy stories, and then be like, okay, and what about you guys? We're like, all right, man, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Sometimes you catch yourself almost.
For sure. And it's different with everybody, but to that point, like, it doesn't matter who they are. If it's somebody who could be just our buddy, or if it's someone who's a big guest that we brought on and we're kind of intimidated, one of the cool things that also makes us feel at ease, or vice versa, is like that point of listening, right? Because a lot of times you talk with either like, whether it's on like an episode like this or just day to day, you have an intention. Like you kind of want to lead to a question, or you're not really listening because you want to get to a point. And I think that when you actually like hear what someone's saying and kind of pick something up and it changes your line a little bit, they pick that up and just creates that chemistry a little.
It's so true, because day to day, it doesn't have to be something like this. It's just, you know, no matter what kind of business you're in, or somebody you pass on the street, or your friendships, your relationships, whatever it is, people want to be heard. People will remember how you made them feel more than what you said. You
Yeah.
know, that person made me feel good. I like being around them. That, you know, people always say they got good energy, right?
Yeah.
That's what it comes from. It's how you treat them right there at that point. And that's key, man. That's key in any industry, I think, in any kind of career.
Sorry, Georgie.
Yeah, go, no,
I was gonna say, it's when you listen, and to echo what George said too, people remember that, and they'll be like, wow, this guy remembers this story that I told 5 years ago. And I'm like, yeah. And just doing this podcast is, in my personal experience, I was a better talker than I was a listener.
Same.
But now it's like, I purposely, when I'm sitting down with someone, it's like, okay, you got my full attention, eye contact. We don't pull our phones out, and it's just like, hey, you have my undivided attention. I want to learn about you, your story, what you're doing, what you've done, and everything. So now when I have personal conversations, it's the same
translates
thing.
big time.
Right? Like when someone's talking, I'm like, okay, like, yeah, blah, blah. And I'm terrible with names. Like I've always been, and I always will be. But I'll remember a story that someone told me like 5 years ago. Meanwhile, like, I can't remember their freaking name.
Yeah, well, do this long enough, you're going to forget some of those stories, and then someone will have to trigger that memory, because I'm like, oh, wait, I did what?
Yeah.
You know, someone I work with.
I talked to Jay-Z about his
like,
marriage.
Don't you remember you talked to so-and-so like 3 weeks ago? I was like, man, COVID, I don't know. We talked to everybody this year, you know, which was amazing. But it is, you know, one of the most valuable things you can give somebody is your time.
Yeah.
So when you do listen to them, that's what makes them feel good, because you know you can't get that back.
Yeah,
Right.
agreed.
So it's huge. It's huge when you do that, and I think, you know, it takes your energy and everything. But if you're able to give somebody your time, I mean, that's incredible for sure.
Do you think, to kind of jump into your kind of career, do you think over your career you've become better at it? Do you feel like you were naturally born to go into this? Like,
No, it's not actually born at all, man.
yeah, some people got it, right? I don't know.
It's
Some people kind of
so-
meant to play ball. Some people are meant to be, you know, personalities.
I think it depends on who you ask. In my world,
Okay.
they'll give you different answers. So as a little kid, you know, all the old Indian aunties and uncles would say to my parent, "Oh, a little actor," because I would like goof around, and I didn't care. But that was
Big
within
personality.
Yeah, I was a tiny little kid, still a little small guy, but. You know, I didn't care, because I was around family and friends. I wasn't shy.
Yeah.
But you took me out of that little bubble, and I would be like, I'd be scared, a little bit intimidated. But then I had to grow up fast because of certain things that happened in life. So, you know, you get to the point where you had to get your confidence, and you build up that wall and things. So, you know, I started getting more confident in becoming a leader within my friend group again. And I think that's what built it. But, you know, skipping forward to doing interviews and things, that was one of the weaknesses I found in my game. And, you know, I started analyzing what I was good at, what I wasn't, what I wanted to get better at, things like that. And I looked at my boss one day and I said, I want to get better at interviewing. And it came to the point when I was at Flow there that's where the major interviews were coming to me at that point.
Wow.
You know, because it was those conversations like this. I don't treat them as interviews. I treat them as conversations.
Yeah.
And again, when you do that, it's a different vibe for people. They get comfortable. They want to talk to you. You know, you mentioned earlier that you have an athlete. They don't always want to talk about sports.
Yeah.
You know, I became good friends with a lot of the Raptors, and you know, in the like late 2000s, I guess, in the 2010s and all that, because of that. Because I wasn't a media guy to them. I was just a dude that liked to hang out and listen to music and loved ball. And they're like, yeah, cool, let's kick it. So stuff like that. But yeah, I never had that. You know, I went to school. I wanted to be a teacher. I never went to school for what I do right now, which is why, depending on who you ask, I'll be like, oh, maybe it's just a natural thing, because I've never been formally educated on doing broadcast journalism, radio, television, or anything like that. I've learned and hustled the entire time.
Well, on that topic, how'd you get into it then?
Ooh, man.
So you just said you went to school to be a teacher?
Yeah, I wanted to be. So
And sorry to cut you off. One of our good friends, Vishal, he told us so. He's comes from an Indian background. He says that every little Indian boy, their father tells them you have to be a doctor, lawyer, or
some kind of professional.
Yeah, doctor, lawyer, engineer, or
This is our
something.
third guest, and they told us we were dying.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
were like,
yeah.
wow, okay, we didn't no idea, but
true,
so
man.
or teacher apparently.
So yeah, the ultimate failure over here. It took a while to get that acceptance of like, oh, this is an actual job or a career. I went to school in Hamilton McMaster. Got in for sociology. Didn't really know what I knew. I wanted to kind of get in teaching. Like, so I got there. The same time, my brother was going to med school, so I'm good. I'm like, I got doctor.
There we go, med school.
We're good. We're good, man. I can do whatever. I'll be the brown sheep of the family now. And so,
Are you the oldest or
I'm the
youngest?
youngest, so I got an older brother, and that's it, right?
Okay.
So I'm like, you got it, thanks, bro.
Yeah.
Take care
I'm
of
good,
business.
thanks.
Yeah, I'm just gonna goof around a little bit, but that's what it was. School wasn't really for me in that sense. That's that form of learning. I loved learning, but just being in classrooms and things like that, I didn't excel in that testing situation. And while I was doing my undergrad, I started DJing like right away. And so all the campus parties, residence parties, started working at the local campus bars and DJing there. And so all I did was take night classes because I was like, I can't get up.
Yeah, you
anymore.
can't get up at 9 a.m.
I went to the
9
campus
a.m. with
people.
sociology.
Yeah, I went to the admin people. I'm like, listen, this economics class
about
at 8
that.
a.m. Look, I'm barely passing it, which I didn't pass, unfortunately. This is why I'm trying to do more. And so I wanted to finish my degree to prove not just to my family, but to myself that I can complete something I started.
Yeah.
So I did that. I got my undergrad in sociology, but while I was doing that, again, just kept hustling, grinding out, working many jobs, different things too, and eventually volunteered at a radio station called Energy 108 back in the day. On their street team. This was in Burlington and
I
Hamilton.
feel like I know. Yeah,
It's like Energy Radio. They had
You're Port Credit,
locations,
right?
Yeah.
You're Mississauga, so I
Yeah, I
probably
grew up
would.
in
Yeah.
Mississauga, so it sounds familiar.
So
yeah.
if you ever remember going to like Karma Club or Jade Nightclub or anything, they did like live dares there by the airport. But yeah, I just did the street team. So I would hand out stickers and lip balm and whatever, but I was just trying to learn and listen and get better at it. And I just started traveling around. So I went to Barrie to work at their station there. Then I left there, went out to Oshawa. I went to a Coburg, Peterborough area to work for a small station that had
Man,
just
you're
lifted up.
all over the GTA.
Yeah.
Not even those are past the GTA.
Yeah, and then finally got hired by Flow 93.5, the hip hop station, and came back, and it was like a weekend, and it was a tough. I mean, considering a tough decision because I was working 6 days full time job to go and do weekends, 2 shifts, and a bit of a pay cut because it was part time. So you're like, do you do this? Don't you? But I bet on myself at that point, take to Freddie Van Fleet.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Oh,
Bet on
Freddie.
yourself.
Freddie
Guys,
VV.
He's sick.
Yeah,
He's
right. And so I did. I
You
bet
had
on
to.
myself, and I was like, "This is what it's gonna work." I've got good feelings about it. And again, it's just hustling and working hard, man, and trying to make the right decisions that you can control. And then from there, I grew, and Flow changed ownership. I lost my job there. I got let go in that whole mass layoff. And then Rogers and Kiss 92.5 hired me up there, and same thing was going to be freelance part time. And they're like, "Nope, we're going to bring you on." And from there, it grew to Breakfast Television, which is also Rogers' own. So I still do Kiss once a week with DJ Climax. We do the Set It Off Mix Show, which is so much fun.
Yeah.
And of course, BT every morning. So I wake up at 4 a.m. every day.
Jeez.
Living the dream.
I love that turn. So this guy he knows what he's doing. He knew. And honestly, I have so many questions now. The way you ended that segment
go,
there,
man.
like,
Pick it apart, please.
But at what age were you when you took a chance on yourself to go to Flow 93.5?
26, 27.
Still pretty young.
Yeah. So, because I started late in radio for radio terms because I didn't go to school for it, right? So
Right.
people were getting out of a 2-year program and
Had
going on the
internships
job.
probably and everything.
Yeah, at like
Or we're running
20.
their local school campus radio. Yeah.
Yeah, or they went, and they went and did journalism
George Brown
wherever,
or
at
something.
like George Brown or Fanshawe or wherever it might be, Ryerson, whatever it was. And they were getting out by like 2021 and they're in the game. I didn't start even volunteering on any of that stuff until I was 24.
Wow.
23, 24. So that's where it kind of started for me. So it was a little bit late, but then when I did, it started to roll. There's definitely a lot of bumps on the way.
Yeah.
But you do what you can and you fight through them.
So once you started on that path and you knew that like this is what I want to do,
Yeah.
I'm sure there was sacrifice and tough nights and all that stuff, but did it feel like you knew? Were you convinced at a certain point, like, okay, I can do this, I can make this? Mm-hmm. Like, did you have that realization right before the flow happened, or like, was there any point along the way you kind of thought you were going to make it to this point?
There was, TV was never a thought back then. It was, I want to be the afternoon drive host, major market in Canada. That was it, my own show. And I got there at Flow. And then that was on my resume when I was applying for stuff. And then I was like, wait, I'm here at this. I've reached this goal, but that's not enough. I'm not satisfied. So now what? And then it was starting to look at other things and be like, okay, how do I grow? How do I expand? How do I make more of an impact? I mean, I got into this just to make people smile. I still like doing that, man. That's the end of the day goal. When you forget about all the real life trash that you have to deal with and you can smile because I made you laugh about something or whatever.
Yeah.
That's it. That's why I started this, and I still, I get DMs from people like, oh my God, that was so funny. That was like, what's up with your hair? I'm like, cool, it made you laugh, right? Like, whatever it is, man, you're smiling, you're forgetting about the serious things that you have to deal with right now, whether it's a pandemic, whether it's, you're systemically getting held down, whatever it might be, but I gave you an opportunity to smile, and that makes it worth it.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
awesome.
It's fun. Sorry, go ahead, George.
I was gonna ask on that same vein. Was there ever a point on the other side where you were at a point where like I don't know if I can do this. I might not make it. Like, yeah. Do you know
several
was there?
times.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a time where I was at a station and it was flipping format. So it was going from a top 40 station to more of an adult contemporary. So that means the demographics would change from a younger audience to an older, more Caucasian audience. I was told to change my name.
Really?
Because it wasn't Canadian enough. Maybe you should be a John Smith, is what I was told.
Shut up.
And yeah, that's
the most generic. That's like a name like people make up fake in movies.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
John Smith.
And my password is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
So I said to him, and this was like a Tuesday or something. It was early in the week, and my first shift was going to be Saturday morning, and because of that, I got, the 6 a.m. on Saturdays and Sundays. While being in my mid to late 20s.
No.
Like, that's not. Who wants? I mean,
Well, that's
when you're
also
gonna go
probably
out,
one of the
right?
worst shifts.
Yeah, it
and-
is.
yeah.
It totally is. So I was like, I don't want to be doing that. But I knew why I was being punished. And he's like, change your name. And I go, no. I go, I'm going to be there for my shift on Saturday. And if you don't want me there, you call me and tell me. Otherwise, I'll be there as me. And never got a phone call or anything. And many, many years later, I saw the guy and he was like, acted like nothing happened. So, there was times like that where I was like, people are going to hold you back. People are going to test you. For no reason, nothing to do with your skill set, but fight through it and, again, control what you can. Make the decisions based on what you think that you're able to control. And other than that, try and stay positive. So there were times where I was like, man, I don't know if I should continue on this path. Maybe I should go get a real job, and because a lot of times too, people that are in this industry will tell you, you're not getting paid very well. You're working long hours and you're not
Early
getting great
mornings,
pay.
yeah.
Yeah. So unless you make it, like there's, the top 3% that are getting really well paid, but everyone else that's hustling and grinding behind the scenes, they work their tails off, but they're not getting the glory or the finances from it.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you ran into that guy a few years later.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to say something? Did you want to be like, yo, man, like, F you, like...
Totally, but I didn't. I took the high road. I was like, hey, what's up, man? Good to see you. And that was it enough because it was in a room. It was like Music Week. It was Canadian Music Week, right? So there's people from radio all across the country. And I was in a room where people were like, Devo, what's up, man? Hey, what's going on? I'm like, hey, what's going on? I'm shaking hands saying hi to everybody. And this is my peers. These are my peers in the industry. And this guy was like, oh, hey. And I'm like, what's going on? You good?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. I'm like, cool. Glad to see you're well. How's your wife? He's like, she's good.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
cool, man. Nice to see you. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And that was it, And, I had another, before I came back I got to Flow. When I was leaving Flow, I was at a station and they had a consultant. And he basically was upset that I was leaving. Because I was doing very well for that station. And
This is the time you were leaving Flow.
no, I was coming to Flow. So I was outside of the city.
Okay.
I was outside of Toronto area. And, I was leaving the station. I said, I got this job. I'm taking it. I ended up giving them 3 months notice or something even crazier than that. It was like, I was working both jobs and Flow was okay with it. I was going back and forth in and out of the city. I was doing both stations on the same day. Wow. So, I would do an afternoon, like a midday shift from like 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Flow. And then I'd drive back out to this place for an hour and a half and do 6 to midnight out there. And I did that for 3 months to give them that opportunity to get somebody. But their consultant at that point was like, you'll never make it. You're going to be a weekend announcer for the rest of your life. You're making a huge mistake, and just degraded me. And
that probably lit a fire under your ass, right?
Oh my gosh, did it ever. I'm like, first of all, you've never met me. You're a call-in consultant or whatever that was praising me a week ago, just saying how great I am and how much talent I have. And now, because I'm going to walk away, it was like a bad breakup, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, well, you've always been a jerk. Like, it's one of those, right?
You're nobody. I made you.
And so my boss at the time was like, don't worry about it. Don't listen to him, man. Like, we're so proud of you and whatever. And I still talk to that guy to this day, my old boss. And he's like, I'm still proud of you, man. I'm glad you made that decision. So you'll have people in your corner. You have people that will try and stop it. So again, but it lit a fire, like you said, man. I was like, okay, I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you. And I still think about it to this day. I'm like, oh, weekend announcer, huh?
Yeah.
Cool, bro.
But you seem like you've taken, like, even to the last point, like, you've taken the high where you're not someone who kind of like you keep it kind of burning inside, but you don't hold it against people.
Nah, you don't. You never know what's going on with other people and what demons they've got and what their mistakes they might have made and regrets that they might have that they're taking out on you. And that's on a daily basis too, not just somebody in that world, right? So I don't look at it like that. I try and see the good in everybody for the most, unless somebody really does something, then you're like, okay, hold up.
See, I find myself like I'll forgive fairly simple, but fairly easily. But I'll always,
vendetta, buddy.
I'll always remember. I will never forget. Like I remember almost everybody who's ever like seriously wronged me, and because it's like, man, like I remember the pain and suffering or the emotional distress I went through because of that one person. And sorry, I make it sound like this happens a lot. It doesn't. I've lived a fair...
Hold on, get a pillow and lay down a little bit.
There maybe been like 5 of them, but like I'll remember every single thing, man. It like, not for nothing, it drives you, right? Like when you're a kid and you're told you're too small to play hockey, you get cut from a team. It's like, wait, man, I was good enough to do that, or whatever other situations, but you remember that, it lights a fire in your ass, and you keep thinking those little words, right? So
but that's the difference too. Like to that point, that you can't spite people because you don't know what they've been through. That guy could be the best guy in the world, had a bad day, or now he looks bad because he thought you were gonna stay. Like you don't know, right? So holding a grudge in someone, like again, it's good to use it as motivation.
Yeah,
I mean, I've had a couple that I still always remember to this day. But like, if you see someone, like, what are you gonna call someone an asshole in front of them or cause a scene? Then you look like an asshole too, and you stoop to their level. And people don't know the behind the scenes, so you just look like a prick. I don't know.
Yeah, man.
Swear on this.
I forget who told me this, and I'd love to give them credit, but I just literally can't remember who said this. But they're like, you're going to see the same people on the way up, on the way down. So
true.
It's up to you how you want to treat them, right?
Yeah.
And I've lived with that like completely, because the people that I saw that were at the top when I was really just like volunteering and carrying bags for people and all that, the ones that treated me well, man, I was like, you're great. But the ones that were at the top that treated me like trash, I was like, if and when I make it to that point, to that level, I'm never going to treat people like that, and I never want to be like you. Like you have no excuse for being like a total dick to somebody.
I was going to ask one question. Is it fair to assume that most of the people that were good to you on the way up are still like up there in positions of like kind of influence, or is that kind of just some people were still kind of up there?
Some people are. When it comes to being an on-air talent or whatever you want to call it, the lifespan isn't always the longest. There's always new, fresh, younger, whatever people coming through. So I think some of them were kind of towards the end of their days, which is why they might have been like that. But it's so inflated. Like people just blow up your ego. If you have yes people around you all the time, you see why. Like people are always telling you how great you are. And when one person doesn't do what you want them to do or what you expect, then you turn into this monster. And you're like, wait, what are you doing? Why would you be like that? Oh, because you didn't get your way. Because someone didn't bring you a bottle of water in time. Like, that's why you're a monster? That doesn't make sense.
So there's a lot of big personalities and like egos in the industry that you're in. Like we say,
there can be.
Yeah,
there can be. I'm fortunate enough to work with people that have none, that are great. No matter like on our team is amazing. Yeah, we've got no egos. Everyone's there to support and lift each other, which is super cool. And I'm fortunate that way, man. It's a blessing for that.
Yeah. But it's like you said too, even like your Jay-Z experience, like you said, hands down, that was the best. Third time, it was just a casual conversation. Like you enjoyed, he was so nice and friendly. And again, those are the things you remember, right? Because I'm sure you've had interviews with people that are just plain out like flat out dicks or rude. And you're like, man, like I hope if I'm in that position where I'm being interviewed, I'm never like that. Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of like treat others how you want to be treated, right? Just have some common respect, because we're all here to do a job, or not like this, for example, but when you're working, you're doing your job. They're essentially doing their job too, because as a celebrity, it is your job to entertain and have these appearances. Yeah. So it's like, if you're a dick and you hear all these like horror stories about these like A-list celebrities, and you're like, man, that would like make me hate somebody.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I've been fortunate to meet a lot of people and speak to a lot of people that are, famous, and people would love to be able to sit down and chat to. I would say 95, even maybe higher % of my experiences have been great.
Okay, good.
And
you were going to say negative %? I was going to be like, man, no.
Imagine. Can you imagine? I was like, 90% of the people I meet are total douchebags. Like,
I kind of knew where he was going with that one. You thought he was going to say bad?
I was like, I'm 50-50 right now.
But it's also what you make it, right? Yeah. Like, I don't go in with blinders on. I go in, when we get these interviews. So as of recent, this is kind of what I've been doing. I mean, minus COVID, but we're doing virtually as well. So you walk into a room, these celebs that are promoting a movie, say. They're sitting like the two of you. They're sitting there. I come through the door. You're already sitting there. You've been there for an hour talking to a bunch of yahoos like me for an hour, like every 4 minutes. I sit down. I say hi. We try and like do some awkward.
Build some rapport.
Yeah, rapport. and some awkward like, oh, nice shoes, or hey, I'd like
A
your
new
watch.
haircut.
Yeah, great headband.
I actually do like the headband, bro.
Thank you.
Big fan.
Appreciate it.
I had long hair till recently. I'd respect the look. I like it. So if anyone
get-
said earlier in the episode that some
Yeah.
people make fun of your hair, I think it's great.
Oh, I get it all
Rock
the time. It's
Nah,
great
rock
though.
it, rock it.
I also got the ankles, whatever, man.
The green,
good.
the
When you
green
start-
ankle socks. Yeah, I like
whenever,
it.
whenever you get, whenever you
It's
do
a style.
something different, whenever you do something different,
Yeah.
you hear it. I'm okay with it. I'm confident enough. I
See
think.
that? I'm trying to build rapport right now.
I know. It's good. That was good. See,
Like that
It
one,
worked.
eh?
And then while you're building that rapport,
No, I shouldn't purposely do that. I actually was like being.
but when you're
legit.
building that rapport, the PR person is like, "Hey, stop with the rapport and start your interview. You got 4 minutes. Let's go."
Oh, you're like on an actual clock. It's,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's like a junket, whatever.
Like
right?
Yeah, so
carousel.
those
Yeah.
junkets. So then someone, like, so you're getting filmed like this. Someone's sitting behind that, and they're holding up a sign. 2 minutes, 1 minute,
shit.
and it's like, rap, and they're like,
It's like
yeah,
speed dating.
and yeah, and if if I'm interviewing you and you're finishing an answer, and I have no time to ask anything else, no follow up or anything. If you continue, they get mad at me because you talk long because you were happy to talk about
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
So it's such a catch-22. You're in this like weird situation, but it's so crazy. So you got to understand too when you walk in that you don't know what the last person did with them. Maybe someone asked a personal question and got somebody upset, like because you just don't know, right? What situation you're walking into. So it's always kind of just you come in, you try and be cool, be polite, and see if you build that rapport. But like you said, right? You got a job to do. Got a job to do. They got a job. They got to promote something. You've got a job to do to get some more information about it or something fun out of it. They know that most of the time, so it works out. But I've had a few instances where it was cold. It was a little bit cold, but I just laughed and have fun with them. And again, I never walked away feeling like
Attacked
they were
or
a jerk
something,
to
yeah.
me or
Yeah.
something like that.
Was there one you walked out? You're like, man, that sucked. Like really bad. You're like maybe you don't have to name.
Yeah,
it.
no name
What was the
dropping.
one that you just,
Because
like,
we,
walked
we
out-
might try and get that person on the podcast. You never
Yeah.
know.
But like was it just
yeah,
like
and
you
then
walked
be like,
out like,
Devo's
that's
on your
terrible.
podcast? No, I won't do it now. There's times where I'm like, ooh, did I bring up a wrong fact? Did I mess up something? Because sometimes, like especially during TIFF, right? During
Yeah,
TIFF,
yeah.
you end up doing like 80 interviews in 7 days or
Yeah.
something ridiculous. That's a little exaggerated, but you're
Yeah.
doing a lot. Like there's this time where I go out to Los Angeles for the things they call TCAs, which is the Television Critics Association, and it's when all the new shows talk about, or all the shows talk about their new season. So they bring all the stars in. So no matter what, like whatever network, they bring all the stars. So there's a day I think I interviewed 37 people in 8 hours because it was just like running through,
shit.
and they're not in particular order. So a show like Always Sunny in Philadelphia,
Great
so
show.
great show, right? And then you had the guys from Mayans MC. So I might have had 8 people from each show, but
But in
not,
different orders.
so you have like
that's
show.
weird.
So you have like say you have 8 shows, right? So someone from show 1 comes in, and then next person from show 7 comes in, and then it's followed by someone from show 4, show 3, show 6, and then someone from show 1 again, and you're like,
And then you
like,
get
who
back
are
to back
you?
lead actresses from different shows.
And sometimes it's a brand new show, so you've never met these people before. They're not familiar to you, so they walk in and they're like, "Hey, we're here." You're like, "I don't know who you are." Like, I don't know. Yeah,
Filtering through your cue
I'm
cards.
Like, yeah, and, I'm like somebody.
So, Michelle.
Yeah, I'm like, oh. So no, but I've walked out of an interview before where I was like, that wasn't my best.
Yeah.
You have a plan going in, but you have to be able to adjust, right? So if you're not prepared to just completely change on the fly, you could potentially have a disastrous interview.
Well, we actually, when we started, so our first couple of guests were our friends, and then our first real actual legit guest was Eric Radford. He's an Olympic gold medalist.
Shout out to Eric.
Shout
He's got
out
a
to
new
Eric.
song out. Shout out Eric.
Golden
Yeah,
Hour.
Eric.
Check it out.
Okay.
Eric Radford, Golden Hour. Check it
Which I
out.
also didn't know. We
Nice.
didn't even ask him, but we didn't know he was
Well,
producing
no,
music.
we talked about it.
He has a music. Yeah, his musical background, but I didn't know he was coming out with it.
I didn't know that
He
either,
didn't
but that was back
mention-
in February.
anyways.
So anyways,
Hey,
so
these musicians, they want to keep things on the low.
yeah,
This is smart.
So we had Eric on, and me and George, we prepared. We Googled the
Listen, we
crap
had
out of him.
we started in this place our 5th or 6th episode. We have an Olympic gold medalist at the top,
Yeah.
the best of the best in the world, and we're
Yeah.
like, what the fuck?
And
How
I'm
first of all, how do we get this guy? Secondly, and Eric, we're legit. Don't worry, it wasn't it's your, shoot your shot, right? It's your first
Yeah.
big guest, and
So-
we're like, how do we do this?
We're just
again,
Googling
we're not-
questions, and he's got 10 questions, I got 10 questions, and it was very question answer, question answer, question answer. And then I remember maybe the next big one after that was Jonathan Rosario, and that was maybe a month later. And we didn't prepare the questions like that. It was like, okay, you know what? Here's some points we want to talk about, but there's no questions. It's like,
It wasn't Jonathan, because Jonathan was right before COVID.
and Eric Radford was middle of February.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were like
Fair,
2-3 weeks
Oh,
apart.
sorry,
right?
someone else.
It was
Anyways,
really close.
Yeah, it's not super relevant.
We said we're like, we don't want it to be an interview. We want it to be a casual conversation. We want it to be fun, and it's not okay. We have to stick to the theme. And with Eric, we basically went through his entire career from start to finish, and that's how the episode went. It was a question. Okay, high school. After high school, what'd you do? After this, what'd you do? Okay, take us to the Olympics. First Olympics. Okay, world championship.
Literally start to
It was
finish.
start to finish. And don't get me wrong, we were so happy with it because we're like, this dude
he's
is
an amazing
an Olympic
career.
gold
And great
medalist,
stories, I
right?
bet.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And personally, I think especially gold medalists, Olympic gold medalists are the coolest people in the world because they are the single best in the world.
Of what they do.
Of what they do,
They are
right?
the
Like-
cream of the crop.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
amazing.
So
yeah.
I always get like starstruck with Olympic gold medalists. So we finished that episode. We said, this is amazing. We're so pumped. And then as we kept going, when we've changed the focus of the podcast to be more of a conversation, we found it so much more fun because there's times where we jump from, let me think of a good one where we jump from topic to topic. What's one that comes to mind?
Honestly, I'm not sure, but I do have a point on that. And like, while you think of that, but you had that point as well before about like, we interviewed like athletes. So we even thought like with Jonathan Sorry, we thought, like, let's ask about the career. And they were like, you know what? Like these people get asked about this on a daily basis. They sit and talk about being an Olympian, being a soccer player, being this. Like even we had Donovan Bailey on. We're like,
that's a good example.
He gets asked about, what's it like to win a world record for the last 25 years probably. So we're like, I'm sure that guy's done other stuff, him specifically, in that last 25 years. So we're like, what do you like to do?
We talked travel, basketball,
golf,
raps,
like
golf.
a lot of stuff, right? And to us, like what we like doing about this is again having the conversation and finding out other sides of people. Because people, the first time it clicked in our head, we had our best friend on as our first guest, and we found out he's a huge gamer. We had no idea,
Like legit, like top 20 in Canada,
Yeah.
Call
Oh, wow.
of Duty. Yeah,
That's amazing.
Yeah. Big Call of Duty guy, but
Okay.
yeah. So, anyways, to your point
Yeah.
as well, like we've learned over the last time, not nearly as long as you have, but we learned over time that you got to adapt, but also kind of read the room, I guess, a little bit and stuff. So, still a learning curve, but
Yeah.
I think we're slowly.
Yeah,
getting to that
definitely
point.
reading the room is key, right? It's it's funny because I've always been what you guys are wanting to do now, that conversation. That's how I've always done it. But when I switched over to television, I had a bit of a learning curve because it's edited differently. So there needs to be some of that theme and some of that flow of question and answer to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So I make sure I try and get that stuff out of the way, or I get to it at some point, and again, in a short period of time, but I try and humanize it very quickly before getting to that. So even something like, you're talking about Donovan or Jonathan, talking about everything else and then getting into the sports because they're comfortable at that point, right? And they're ready to be like, okay, cool. You know what? These guys don't just care about only that. I don't mind talking about it now. Like we're warmed up. We're talking about other things.
Well, that's why we usually when we have our guests, we'll chat like at 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I'm like, let's just jump right into it. Like let's sit down because this is half the time we have our casual conversations. Like it's great,
It's the
right?
best stuff.
That's why. But going back, you said we talked about one of the best and now some of the worst. What's one of your most awkward situations or stories?
We're just putting this guy under the spotlight.
You know what?
Awkward.
I think I've had some even on this, and this again is 8 months deep. I've had times where I was just like,
What is your most awkward experience? I'm curious now. You feel like you
on
got
this?
I mean, I have some that like I just. My biggest thing is sometimes I'll talk myself. Again going back to the point where we were bigger talkers. This has really taught us how to listen. But there's sometimes I'll talk and I'm not even listening to myself, and I'm just like, where am I going with this point
Where
again? I'm like,
am I-
Ricky,
yeah.
bail me out, bail me out.
Do you watch The Office?
I did.
So there's one episode when Michael gets brought. So Michael Scott, who's Steve Carell, gets brought to the headquarters because his sales are doing amazing and his office is killing it. So they bring him in to get understanding what he's doing differently.
Yeah, why are you special?
So he starts talking. He's like,
Yeah.
"Well, David." So his meeting with David Wallace, like, "Well, David, sometimes it's about being just so on top of things that." You can just always make sure that you want to try and get the most. And then it like pans over to an interview like behind the scenes. Like sometimes I start a sentence and I don't know where I'm going. I hope I just catch myself. And I
That's
don't.
me. I get a lot of those
catch
awkward
George
situations.
doing that a
But
lot.
I think you know now. So now you just you're like,
Now
oh
it's
shit.
like-
Okay, so next question.
But yeah, so one of your more
Oh,
awkward
man.
ones.
I've probably had a million, but I just try and,
Laugh 'em off?
Same thing. Laugh through them or adjust or call it out. Live TV gives you a ton of awkward moments that you just try not to think about.
Yeah.
You just like, hopefully no one saw that. There's a million people watching.
Yeah.
They saw it.
See, ours isn't bad. We only got
and it
1,000.
And it lives online after. So you're like,
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Next thing
Do
you know, you're
find-
a meme.
Well, actually, that's funny. Do you find that since you transition to TV, you have to be more careful, more selective, or you still just kind of been the same personality, or have you adapted a little bit?
I've adapted a little bit, but I've always been that person where, you know, if I go out and goof around when I'm out and stuff, I'm still aware of what I'm doing and trying to, you know, keep some sort of decorum. Is that the word?
I think so.
I don't use that word normally.
Yeah.
So clearly,
it's a good word.
So clearly that doesn't describe me, because I think that's like the second time in my life and the other time it was probably on the prompter. But
save that one in his back pocket. I'm gonna use that one day.
Yeah, I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that to
We should
describe
get a
it.
word of the day. We should get a calendar, a little word of the day calendar. We have to use it in the episode.
That's not bad.
That's not
idea.
bad.
Something
idea.
unique.
That's a really good idea.
So no.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say,
cut
no,
off
you
there.
know what? Like, I am aware of, you know, the position I'm in, but I don't take my job that seriously, in the sense of, you know, before people are, oh, you don't take your job seriously. No, I take my job very, very seriously, but I don't take myself that serious. And what I do, you know, I just get to do a cool job, you know, but I'm a normal dude that has a fun job. That's it. And so, you know, like if I'm on the subway or if I'm at the same bar as you or whatever, that's cool, because we do the same things. We're the same people in that sense. So I don't really, but I've never been that guy that just gets like, becomes an idiot ever. So at least
I can't say the same.
No, but I think that's important, right? I think I don't know how it is when you're interviewing, like, you know, the bigger celebrities and all that kind of stuff, because obviously certain people, like, when you're a personality, you're in front of the camera a lot or on radio a lot, you have to kind of hold yourself to a certain, I guess, standard. But you find that I think the people that just in life in general don't take themselves super seriously, like, you can be serious, you can respect your job and respect yourself, but being able to kind of like laugh at yourself, you're like, oh, you know, I made a little blunder or whatever, and not kind of get humiliated or get down by it or get all serious when somebody calls you over something, and that like adds to the more genuine factor and makes people more comfortable to be around you. Yeah. So I think being able to do that in the position that you're in must help as well.
I try and be as real as possible, and you know that I feel like that term can kind of get overused and be cliche, but that's how I've always been. I've always spoke my mind to a certain extent with tact and with class, but I've always been me. I've never really tried to back down from that. And, you know, if you see me out and I'm dancing on a couch, because I feel like dancing on a couch. That's what I feel like doing.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
like that's what I'll do.
Dancing on couches?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
But Rick goes a good point in every now.
But yeah, like I'm not going to be, you know, I'm sure people are like, oh, that's that guy that's on TV. Oh my gosh. Like people might feel a certain way about it, but
it's like that guy was on the Pals podcast.
Yeah, that's the guy that was on the Pals podcast, you know, and he's dancing on a couch now in the middle of the street. What is he doing? But
heck yeah,
you know, it's just live life, have fun, be cool to each other, and you're good. Like
And that's one, George, you're actually really good with that. You always say this one line. What's the one line?
Oh, shit. You call it the one, if you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at?
Yeah.
And you've said
call
that.
Me out every time I say it, you're like, you always say
and
that.
I love it because it's so true. If you can't joke around with yourself and like, again, me and all the boys, like we chirp each other, right? Because and again, it's always friendly. It's friendly banter, right?
Sometimes it crosses the line. You guys take shots at me, but I ain't gonna hold no grudges. Shout out to the other George. My cousin's my cousin got the same name.
So if you can't joke with yourself and the boys, it's like, you know, who can you laugh at really? Like these are your closest friends and yourself, right? Sometimes it's fun to poke fun. Like
oh yeah.
There's times where I in this podcast I'll say something and I'm like I'll listen to it a week later. And I'll think, how did I forget that word?
Yeah.
You know, like, how did I forget?
You're not as bad. That first few episodes, you had some...
I would literally just... I'd say I'm like...
This guy would try to bring out quotes, and he's like saying a quote, and our friends would listen back. They would text and be like, yo, you got to get Ricky like a dictionary while he's talking.
Yeah.
This guy's making up quotes in the air. And
or there's times I would forget like simple words. I can't remember the episode.
Vishal will call us out.
Yeah, Vishal, one of our good buddies, will call us out. Yeah, but it's one of those things where you can literally, if you can't laugh at yourself, then who can you really laugh at?
It's so true, man. You know, same thing. I've got a squad that I keep very tight. It's a small group.
Any shout outs here?
No, shut them out. They don't deserve it. They treat me like trash. But that's what it is. They keep any kind of inflated ego that I might want to have, they won't allow that to happen. And I've had a good squad, you know, in different parts of my life, but that's been around me for a long time. And same thing, I always say with friends like these, and I don't even finish a sentence because I don't need enemies. These guys will tear me down if I need it, right? Yeah. But I appreciate that. And you need that in your world. People that will always tell you like it is. No one's
straight
there
up.
to like
keeps you
gas
humble. They don't blow smoke up your ass, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man. You know, and everybody needs that. You know, I'd rather hear something straight from one of those guys than somebody else's like completely bursting my bubble. Yeah. Like, I thought that was cool. No, it wasn't cool. It never was. We've been telling you. Yeah. Like, well, I didn't listen. Okay.
It's like George's long hair.
Yeah. That's Listen, man, the hair was nice. I had
I liked
really,
it. I
really long
liked
hair
it.
for a couple of years, and
Listen,
I liked
you
it.
gotta enjoy. I was telling my dad, literally telling my dad today. I was like, dude, I don't know. I haven't gotten a haircut. I did a couple of my own COVID haircuts. I used to cut my other people's hair and stuff too. It's
Yeah.
another story. So I have the skill set to do it
Yeah.
to a certain extent. So I did it the first month and a half. I was cutting my own, and then I was like, nah, I'm just gonna let it go. And I said to my dad, I'm like, I might not be able to grow my hair long again. I'm in my 40s now, man. Like, you don't know
Your
when
40s?
Yeah.
you look at your like,
Yeah,
all right. I was gonna.
just saying like early 30s.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll take it,
Thank
I'll
your
take
parents
it.
for those
I know.
jeans,
Thanks,
eh?
Mom. Thanks,
No,
Pops.
shit.
Thanks, Ma. But yeah, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to grow out to do a man bun again. Why not mess around
Might
with
as well.
it? We'll
You got
see.
time.
You got a head
See.
start too. Like it's
COVID haircuts, yeah.
That's the thing, right? Being in COVID, like you kind of go through that ugly phase. Now no one's really not seeing people as often.
Oh, see,
Oh,
I didn't
you
have
are.
a
I mean,
choice.
you are.
I didn't.
Like,
We
yeah.
didn't stop. I didn't have a choice. I was
Yeah.
like, well, no one's getting mad at me for having a bigger beard and longer hair,
Screw it
so
up,
I'm
man.
just going with
Just
it.
gonna roll with it.
I had
Yeah.
it and I cut it. Like I said, I cut it
Yeah.
last Friday, whatever, a week ago. And one of my buddies, Dave, he's a big shit talker. But anyways, I cut it. And, after I cut it, I got a lot of messages being like, wow, you look great with
Couple
this
girls
hair.
sliding in the DMs.
Maybe a few.
Okay,
Maybe a few.
okay.
I had a couple compliments. But
Oh, yeah.
I messaged my buddies after. I'm like, yo, guys, like, people have been telling me, like, I look like I'm skinnier. I look like I lost weight. Like,
Oh, yeah.
why were you telling me this? And Dave's like, you idiot. I've been saying it for 2 years since you came home with this hair. I said, cut your damn hair. He goes, you cannot blame anyone but yourself. I was like, you know what? Fair. I deserve this. But anyways, having buddies around you that keep you humble and
Yeah.
keep you the
It's
humility is
necessary.
very important.
Yeah, it's
Well,
definitely
on the-
necessary.
I had if you want, I have a separate chop.
No, I was going to say, on the topic of COVID, I was going to say, what's the most exciting thing that has happened in your life during this COVID situation?
Wow.
Because I know you guys are doing a lot of the interviews on the street now, Dundas, I think.
Finally, yeah. So we're finally getting people in person. It's still very limited, but during this time it was tough. We had a small team, maybe 5 or 6 of us that were actually on the floor, and then we had a couple people in our control room that were all working hard behind the scenes that came in every day. Risk themselves.
Yeah,
and go
man.
through, and
Shout
it
out
was-
to all the
yeah.
people in the media entertainment industry because they're basically TV has not slowed down.
Never think about that.
Newscasters and
Yeah.
anybody who's kind of chirping here and there, and I don't want to say any names, but there's so many people just hating. It's like, guys, these people are working 7 days a week to provide us with
Personally,
news.
I actually never thought of. I don't watch a lot of news person, but I never thought about that. Like you hear the front line. Like, don't get me wrong. Shout out to all the front
Of
line
course.
people and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But there's all the people covering the front line, all that stuff. You don't
Think
really
about
think
the-
about
you get
that,
your
right?
news every single day.
Yeah.
Your
I
news is
never really-
coming from some people, some team, a group of people, right?
Yeah.
Like nobody
Wow, shout
really
out to
sits
them.
down
That's
to
very-
appreciate it. I'm like, man, these
Yeah,
people work
man.
7 days a week.
Yeah, I appreciate it because we didn't stop, right? And it was uncertainty, and we had to adjust everything. We had cut our team more than half that was in the building, but then you had everybody that you didn't see. Like you saw me doing my thing, and you're like, okay, he's got to work so hard, blah blah. Yeah, but there was so many
Yeah.
other people behind us making sure that we were okay doing what we were doing, getting us the information, making sure it all looked good, which is unbelievable in that team that we had. But it was shrunken down. It was tough for everybody. So to really see everybody come together and work hard like that, and again, any essential worker, no matter what kind of industry you're in, was greatly appreciated and still is. But during that time too, I mentioned to you right before we started this, it was kind of a reset for everybody, and so you had this opportunity to speak to people in their own homes, and there's always a wall up when you first speak to anybody in any kind of interview, whether it's a news-based one, a political-based one, a restaurant, whatever it might be, or entertainment. There is that wall up. But when people are sitting in their own home, on their own couch, in their own probably no pants on the bottom, whatever it might be, they're willing to open up a little more. They're willing to be a little more compassionate. They're willing to give you a little more information. So that to me was real cool. That was something that we saw. We got some interviews that, we had no business getting. We had BB Rexa come on. We had Benny out of Australia, and just different people coming on that we didn't think that we'd have a chance to chat to. I talked to Perry Edwards out of Lil Mix in the UK. Her boyfriend's a big footballer. He came on when we did an Instagram live stream. And so just all these little things were super cool to get people in that insight. You got to see how these big famous people that you only read about or see about, you got to see how they lived. That to me, I thought was a really cool thing. I mean, that's superficial compared to everything that was going on. But that was really dope.
A lot of these people, so when you guys were trying to set this up during this time, like, are you involved in the planning side? Do you get to say, let's go after these people, or is there a team behind the scenes that kind of pursues these guests?
Yeah,
and
we
all
have
that?
producers that are working like day and night to try and pursue things, and then we get approached with different opportunities as well. But if we have something, like I'll have certain contacts and be like, hey, let's hit these guys up. Like these guys would be really good for us to have on. This is what they're involved in the community. This is what they're doing. They're making masks and they're giving it to people with no charge and pivoting their business and all. So there's a lot of that happening too. So there's input from all levels, which is cool.
If you could interview one person in the world, anyway, let me rephrase this: one person, any era, any time in the world.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh man.
Okay, George.
Well, I was going to ask while you're thinking. I was going to.
Yeah.
If I could interview one person, any era, any time.
Yeah.
I think I know mine.
Who's yours?
I think Sidney Crosby after the Golden Goal.
Oh.
Well, I don't mean
really
like
good.
interview what time you would interview him. Just like if you can go
You
back.
said any point in time.
That's your answer.
Okay.
I can't tell you your
Yeah.
answer.
Or Justin Timberlake after he got off the stage at the Victoria's Secret fashion show.
Victoria's
I thought you were gonna say
Secret.
Super Bowl.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Nah,
think it was a
Victoria.
Super
What
Bowl
happened at
after.
Victoria's Secret fashion
He
show?
got to walk down the runway and sing at the peak of his career
Sort of
with
like
the most
Bruno
beautiful women in the
Mars,
world.
The
bunch of other people.
Weeknd.
Yeah, The Weeknd.
Yeah,
The
but
Weeknd was
Justin
more.
Timberlake-
YJT.
Yeah, man, I got to think for
He's got
JT.
a big,
yeah,
big
yeah.
man
I'm a big
crush,
JT fan.
I can
You know,
see that.
I would honestly, I think if I could sit down and interview one person, it's really hard. I know my golf foursome I'd play with, but if I had to pick one, honestly, Shaquille O'Neal would be pretty high on that list.
Yeah.
I just think he's so cool. He's done a lot of things. He's such a diverse guy, and he's a funny character. Like that guy went from being an NBA champion. He owns like the biggest chain of I think it's like
Papa
Taco
John's.
Bell. No, Taco Bell's and Five Guys, I think. So he's made a ton of money in the restaurant industry. Right. He's a DJ who's playing in front of have you seen his sets?
Yeah.
Like that guy is
Hundreds
hype.
of thousands of people.
And he's on TNT. Like, he just
Yeah.
seems like someone really cool to kind of hear about their
He's
career.
definitely an interesting character. I would. Okay. So my ultimate history one and the serious one would be Gandhi. Just because of everything that went on, and my parents, my background, they're not we're originally from India, but my parents are from Uganda, East Africa, right? So they're I've never been to India, I'd love to go, but Gandhi and what you went through and what you've read about, I just would love to hear
what he meant to the culture back then, society, everything,
and the cause, and it wasn't just for Indians, it was. Everybody could kind of get on board with what he's doing and his mindset and mentality. So I would love to pick his brain about
that's a really cool answer.
Some thoughts and just where the philosophies came from. But man, I would love to get, and we haven't done this in a long time, but Aubrey, I'd love to get Drake back because we
manifest it.
Shout out to Aubrey. Let's go.
It's been a minute with Obs. We go way back and in my Flow days and his early music days, and Flow was the first radio station to ever play his music. I got to do an interview with him, which we never aired. It was just him. His manager came in. This is a cool story. His manager came in to bring in a new record. This was before he was signed, right? And so they went to.
It's like best I ever had time.
This is before best I ever had.
Lil Wayne. I want the shit. What's the song called? I want the shit. No, I'm thinking of the wrong song.
So
I'm still
do what
fly.
you do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm still fly. That was with oh my gosh.
No.
Oh, it'll come to me in a second. He's with Smoke and Mirrors. What's with Smoke and Mirrors? Paige.
Yeah. That was when I was in grade 7.
Yeah, so around that time.
Grade 8, grade 7.
So around that time.
High school maybe.
He had Do What You Do and City Is Mine, right? Those were the first tracks. So we played those on Flow. So he came in with his manager. He went to the music director's office. The manager did.
Later, yeah.
And Obs came into the studio with me because I was doing the Showtime. I'm like, yo, just come. I'm going to hit record. Let's just talk. And we just started talking. And he manifested everything. He's like, yo, I want to be the guy that puts on for the city, man. I want everybody to be like, yo, Drake, Canada. That's why. And he was just saying all these things. And it was crazy. Less than 10 years later, it all happened. Yeah. And that conversation, I still have it. I posted it. And it's one of my favorites with him because it was just two guys both trying to rise in their careers and very early in their careers, very different places and different things, but just super young and fresh and just having a conversation like this and what would you like to do? What's the coolest thing? And just having fun. So I'd love to do that full circle. I'm sure we can have a conversation with some of his people to try and make that happen again.
Manifest it into the world, man.
Yeah,
That's
I would love to sit. I would love to sit with Obs and see what the last 10 years.
He's done some crazy things.
Biggest artist on the planet.
Yeah. Which is hands down the biggest, which is insane. Honestly, I'm not three are probably the biggest in the world are probably Canadian. Weeknd, Drake, and Bieber, which is crazy. But Drake with what he's done, the guy's got his logo on he's the OVO practice facility. Think about that. He has the naming rights to a training center for the NBA championship team, which is insane.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
I remember one time I met him. I was like, I don't often get starstruck, and I was actually at a Raptors game, and I was like sitting downstairs in the before he had the Share Club.
Yeah.
So he used to come downstairs like the Platinum Lounge, and I was sitting at a game, and I was thinking it was with my dad and like a cousin of mine, just sitting at the bar there, like hanging out, and the bartender, shout out Jeff, best bartender in that arena. He goes, oh, whatever. He's like, Aubrey. He said something.
Yeah.
He's here, and I'm like, who's here? He's like, oh, Aubrey. I turn around. He's like standing like next to me ordering a drink. I was like, what's up, man? He's like, how you doing, buddy? I was like, good. Like, just made conversations. Cool. People like trying to mob him, and he's like, yeah, I gotta get out of here. And like, he walks to his back room. But yeah, it's the one and only time I met him. Really, really nice guy.
It reminds me of my time I met Lewis Hamilton at Lost.
You
and
didn't even
Found.
know who he was.
So I'm like walking to the club, and I see this guy. I'm like, yo, man, sick hat. He's like,
Best
oh,
race car driver in history.
Yeah, he's like,
the
yeah,
GOAT.
thanks,
Yeah.
man. And I'm like, where'd you get it? He's like, oh, it's my own brand. I was like, oh, sick, man. That's dope. Like, yo, you do you. I walked over.
No, I
So the
think
next day,
You're
no.
like, bro, you
so like
do
the
you.
the pictures got posted on
pretty
Instagram.
recognizable guy.
The next day,
smaller.
right? The next day, the pictures got posted on Facebook or something. And I remember I sent it to one of the boys, and I told them about this hat. I was like, guys, this guy has a sick hat.
I
He's
feel
kind
like
of
you
short.
might have sent it to me to be
Yeah,
honest.
so I might have sent it to George. Let's say, and I was like, yo, like, do you see this hat? Like, I need to know where to buy one. He goes, bro, are you serious? I was like, yeah, man. How sick is it? It's Lewis Hamilton. I was like, actually, I'm like, I knew the name. I didn't know what he looked like.
Yeah.
He's like, this is Lewis Hamilton. I was like, actually, like instantly Google Lewis Hamilton. I was like,
guy's the
holy
GOAT.
crap.
Oh,
I'm like,
man. Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
If I saw him, I'd be like, you have some time? I've got a podcast. You want to come?
Yeah.
100%.
manifest
we
that.
met Mike
And
Tyson
also,
there.
and also, do you, bro?
Yeah.
Do you do you?
Sick hat,
Yeah.
man. You said it's my own
Yeah,
brand.
it says my brand.
Sick, man. Good fashion brand.
Yeah, I was like, oh, sick, man. Cool. That's awesome. Meanwhile, here I am, like,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
guy's
yeah.
like, probably, like, wow, this guy actually doesn't know who I am.
Yeah. Which you probably loved.
Yeah, he probably
Yeah,
did. It's like,
yeah.
sick, man. Compliment to my brand, not my race car driving skills.
Exactly.
Right?
Which is
Because
kinda cool.
everyone does that. They do that thing where they either, like, I feel
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I don't know this. I'm not a celebrity, but I feel like it's the one that drives people nuts. It's either, like, okay, if you recognize someone, people get it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, you recognize them by face, and you're like, oh, you're that guy. And you got to ask them who they are.
Yeah.
Like, you should be like, hey, man, nice to meet you. I don't know who you are. But I feel like that would be so annoying. It's like, oh, tell me again why you're famous, like, who you are. And I feel like celebrities get that. He probably liked you because you didn't do that. But I feel like people,
funny though.
like, I've been out somewhere. I don't remember where it was. It was like a game. Maybe it was a Leafs or Raptor or Blue Jay, and you could tell who he was. Oh, I remember outside Skydome after 2015 when David Price bought them all scooters, and we're coming out of the thing and we see Deanna Navarro, and we stop and say hi to him. It's like, hey, nice to meet you, man. Like, great game tonight. Let them go on their way. And you hear these people mob them after, and like you hear in the background be like, oh, what player are you? Like, who are you? And I feel like I'd be so pissed
Yeah.
if I was someone famous and that happened. Like, you know,
You're like,
I
you
guess a
don't-
little bit
wait,
humble.
what?
I would sign the autograph with the
yeah.
wrong name. That's it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Batista.
Yeah, no, that's but that goes back to what you were saying about just like, yeah, you just can't, you gotta laugh at it,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
Stop
it's
yourself
true.
at that
Not take it too
point.
seriously. And at the end of the
Yeah.
day, like, you know, how many people are going to recognize? Like, we recognize the guy who's like the backup catcher on the Blue Jays. Like,
Yeah.
not everyone's going to recognize him.
That's so
One
true.
question I did want to ask to jump back. You said you get up at 4 a.m.
Yeah,
every day?
every day. 4:07.
That's a very specific
Yeah.
time.
Wait,
like-
one alarm, or do you have like 8 alarms?
No,
set?
I just changed the alarm each time, so it's one alarm.
That's it.
Usually around 4:07.
That's
I
risky
usually
though.
do.
407. If you miss that,
It is risky. I've missed it once. No, they know. I showed up late. I was like, oopsies. I fell asleep. It's a known fact. I'm not a great sleeper. You know, those who you know, I love sleep. I'm just not good at it. You know, people love basketball and they coach. They coach.
That's
I'm not good at sleep. I
or
love
they
it.
watch. I love
Yeah,
basketball,
or
but
you
I
just
watch.
watch.
I
Yeah.
don't play.
Or you just watch, right? So I love sleep. I'm just not great at it. So I sleep about 3 hours a night, and I try and get about an hour or so during the day, if I get that opportunity. But that's
but
that's
now
all
you
I
have
need.
part of your
Wow.
schedule, right?
Yeah, so
And you
that's
can
it.
run like that. Like you
run
function.
like that for 20 plus years. Yeah.
Jeez. Dude, if I don't get like 8 hours, I'm like, yeah, I might call it in today.
I feel like
don't
we
know-
talked about this too.
I don't even know what 8 hours is. I don't know what that feels like. I can't, and even if I have nothing to do, I can't, my body won't let me shut down for 8 hours. It's my mind's always going. So
See, I'm
yeah.
I'm very similar to that. My mind doesn't shut off, but then I have sleep apnea too, which fun fact to the Pals podcast listeners, I have a sleep apnea device that goes
got
over
the
my nose.
mask?
It's like,
oh yeah, Darth Vader.
yeah, man. But the worst part is, so I get I guess in the middle of the night, I somehow just take it off, and it's like I actually take it off and hang it up, but I don't remember any of it. So now I'm at the point where I have my follow up, and it's a month later, and I'm like, I've used this thing like maybe 10 times, but I've only worn it maybe for like 2 or 3 hours each time. So I have no idea what my results are going to be like, but I know what you mean because I can't fall asleep.
This guy was sending me like last night. You sent me like fucking 100 messages.
Yeah, but that was different. Where something was on my mind, right? So it's like something's on my mind. Say
Then
goodbye to sleep.
Yeah.
I'll be thinking then. One thing that someone has taught me that if you're thinking about something, you have to write it down, get it off your mind. But then there's time. Our cameras.
I knew that was going to happen
gone.
at some point.
It's okay. But there's time.
It's still going. We're good. That one just like
so
I knew was going to
they
shut
say
off.
that if you can write it down, it'll take it off your mind.
Almost that time.
Yeah.
So then there's times where I'll literally write it down. I'm like, hey, back to bed. Then I'm thinking, shit. And then I'll just keep thinking.
Because you keep thinking about it.
It's going. And my body is so tired. It's just like, Ricky, just fall asleep. And then you're counting sheep. And it's like, someone's like, count back from 100. All right, let's count. I've done it like 5 times. Like, I've counted 500 now. I'm like 10 minutes into this counting to 100 now. Like,
I'm an expert at counting.
Yeah.
I did the whole test where they probe you up and throw things on you.
Yeah,
Like you're
same, I
basically
did
a
too,
science
yeah.
experiment. And the guy's like, you got nothing wrong. You're just a mess. He goes, you need to get, he's like, I've never seen anyone like you in what did he say? In the 53 years I've been doing this. And I'm like, someone charming and cool?
Psych.
He's like, no. He was so like straight laced. He's like, no, you're a mess. It's like, oh.
Jeez.
I appreciate that, Doc.
He goes, you were here for however many hours. You slept a total of 45 minutes. A total. Not at one point. Complete total. You were here overnight. You slept 45 minutes. I'm like, yeah, well, this is like a weird situation. You take me out. Like, you asked me to go to bed like 4 hours earlier than I would normally go out.
You're in a little single bed.
You got little things like attached to my body. Like, this is weird.
I did the exact same test, and I left. So I was supposed to do it. This is a really weird topic we got on.
Yeah.
But I did it because I get my tonsils removed, and I was just like university, and they're like, yo, give you a sleep test. So fun fact about me, I hate hospitals. Terrified of hospitals. Like,
We're learning about each other. That's
Terrified. But I go into this test, and there's Mississauga.
Hypochondriac.
And I mean, that's not why I'm scared of hospitals. Have you ever seen Halloween? Like, scary movies, bro? Like, I feel like I'm going to die every time I'm in a hospital. Every horror movie in a hospital does not end well. So they wired me up as well. And like, I had to go to bed at like 8 or 9. I was like, this is weird. I go to bed at like 11. So I'm lying there, and all the stuff's attached to you. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, take these things off. I call my mom. I'm like, hey, just take my tonsils out. Like, get me out of here.
Mom, I'm outie.
I literally just walked out of the hospital. He's like, where are you
Yeah.
going? You have like 8 hours of sleep still. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Just let's get this done with. Yeah.
Nah,
But
it is what it is. If you can operate on it, it's great. I'm the type though, like if I know I have an interview the next day or for the show, so if we get things late, I always read and prep my stuff before I go to bed. That to me is relaxing. That relaxes my mind to know that I've done my work ahead of time. So I might stay up way later because I wanted, I over prep for things like how you were saying you were looking when you interviewed Eric, right? And you guys were looking up stuff, and I over prep for everything I do. So even if I have a 4-minute interview with somebody, I'm doing 5, 6, 7 hours of prep because I want to know certain things in case we go off to that.
Yep.
Or I want to know about this person as best I can, or their career, in order to throw in something that they've never heard before, or something that might catch their interest, and they'll be like, oh wow, this person cares.
Yeah.
And they took the time to learn about me. I'm gonna give them a little something. You know.
When we had Donovan too, so we started asking questions, and he at one point he says like, you're not gonna ask me a question that hasn't been asked in the 25 years I've been doing this. And one of our last questions, which we'll ask you towards the end, he goes, wow, no one's ever asked me that. We're like, heck yeah, the Pals podcast.
That's it. That's what you want to do,
one,
right?
Yeah.
And that's it, because again, you have people that they hear it all.
Yeah, of course. You've been doing this for that long, right?
Name drop, like last week I did a Zoom interview with Katy Perry.
Heck yeah.
So dope. She's like ready. She's ready to pop. By the time this comes up, she might have given birth already. She's got a new album coming out. So we're talking about that. And then we just like goofed around about other things. And right at the end, she gave me this like one-liner. And she's like, yeah, and we'll see what my daughter blooms into. And I went, pun intended for Orlando? Or for I go, pun intended? She goes, yeah, I gave you that one. You're welcome. And I'm like, and I just went, appreciate you. And she's like, because Orlando Bloom's the dad, right? So I was like, that she just threw that. She's like, I'm just going to give you a bone. Why not?
Yeah.
Have you some, because I know you're going to use that
sound bite.
Right?
Yeah,
My
yeah,
producers were like, yes.
There you go.
That's that clip that goes viral there.
That's the one, right? Yeah. So they know what they're doing. But if you can engage them, they'll be a little more friendly and open and stuff.
That makes sense.
Do you have one trick or like one go-to that's like either you keep in your back pocket, or when you're prepping, it's one thing you're gonna like, I gotta find out this thing about them or a specific question?
No, I like to. I think it's different for everybody. It depends on who I'm interviewing or whatever. If it's somebody newer, I'll try and find out a little more info. If it's somebody Canadian, I will try and hit up people I know that might know them.
Yeah, get an inside
and get a
scoop.
little inside thing, like something, you know, like
you're boys with this guy.
yeah, like, oh, I know when you go here, we used to play high school football, blah blah, and they'd be like, what? How'd you know that?
That's not on my Wikipedia.
Yeah, like, how did you know my coach was so and so? Like something like that. They're
Yeah.
like, oh snap! So you're either creepy or you do your work. It's one or the
Yeah,
other,
yeah,
and it's a
yeah.
bit of both sometimes, right? You
But
are
usually,
creepy.
again, it's back to the thing we were talking about earlier. It's like that. You take it seriously. You're professional, and then it like kind of disarms a little bit, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
And so that's it. So I don't know if I have a go-to, but I do like to go a little deeper into somebody's catalog. If it's a musician, say,
Okay.
I'll pull something that might not be
The
you know,
mixtapes.
Yeah, it won't be a hit single or whatever. I might pull something or pull out a quote from one of their songs and be like, you know, this was something that you wrote. It's not somebody else that wrote it and you just performed. It's something you wrote, 12 years ago. What does that lyric mean to you now? Does it mean anything different? Was that just a moment? Was that like a mantra?
I'm making a
What is
mental
that?
note of this for
Yeah.
next time we have a musician on.
Yeah.
Mental note here.
I actually have a question on that.
Yeah.
What's one lyric that like really resonates with you? Is there one that stands out? It's very hard. 'Cause you
that's
listen
a
like
tough
you probably
one.
listen
I
to
listen
every
to
single
everything.
song in
Dude,
this.
on the
their
way
songs.
here, I decided to throw on iTunes, but the top 100 hits in Mexico. So all I'm hearing is like Balvin and Bad Bunny in my head right now, and I don't understand Spanish that well. So a lot of Drake stuff, like a lot of that stuff, because it is the city,
Yeah.
in what we grew up in, and I watched literally him start from the bottom in his music career. So there's a lot of that stands out. Recently, of all people, and I love this guy for when I met him in the time frame, Kanye. People will say what they say about Kanye, but my experience and my personal experience with Kanye was amazing. So, it's sad to see the direction that he went to and some of the things that he's gone through and the
Still a
bipolar
musical
disorder and all
genius,
that.
though.
A musical genius,
Musical
100%.
genius, yeah.
But there is a line that he says that everything I'm not made me everything I am. And so...
What track's that from?
I can't. I'm trying.
It's called Everything I'm Not, I think. Or no, Everything I Am is the name of the track, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
But and it's such a, an underdog story, that line. And that's kind of how I feel. It's like...
Now I actually have Good Morning playing in my head for some reason.
Oh,
That
dude,
song-
there's
it just went into my head.
great
I'm trying to-
tracks
College
from
Dropout?
Kanye. Oh, that album is it's a classic.
Wait,
Like,
favorite? What's your favorite Kanye? Both you guys' favorite Kanye album?
College Dropout.
yeah.
I think 808s and Heartbreaks. I really
Actually,
love
yeah.
808s and Heartbreaks.
Flight School? Flight School?
Bro, that one really.
That was one of my tunes.
So that one really resonated with me, and we actually like got super lucky. Like, little side story, we were at Coachella for my 25th birthday, and Drake and The Weeknd were the headliners.
Nice. Yeah.
That year. So we're watching The Weeknd perform at the main stage, and I think it was the night after Drake.
Funny song.
And The Weeknd, honestly, I've seen him live so many times. I think he's one of the few that's like his voice sounds the same. It sounds like you listen to a CD. But he starts singing Heartless. He starts like segueing his song into Heartless, and I have a video of this. I'll never forget. I'm like, yo, I think he's gonna bring Kanye out.
Yeah.
And my buddies are like, are you nuts? And then the beat starts dropping, and he goes into 808s and Heartbreaks. Yeah, the one to Heartless. It was it's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Well,
but yeah,
Runaway on that album as well.
Yeah.
I was like, let's have a toast to the douchebags.
Yeah.
Like,
It's such a shame.
It's funny that you mentioned Jay-Z was one of your favorite. I saw
Yeah.
Jay-Z, Kanye Watch the Throne
Yeah.
concert, and still to this day, one of my favorite concerts.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a massive concert guy. I go
Yeah.
to 25.
big concert. You go to
Like,
any concert.
Basically any
BTS,
concert. Yeah, I'll go to
Kanye,
anybody, right? And if
Katy
they're
Perry.
big and like I can appreciate their music,
Yeah.
I'll go. Like screamo stuff, no offense to that. It's just I can't do it. Like serious heavy metal, again, like I can't really do. I can do like AC/DC, but like Guns N' Roses, that's more kind of
Rock
pop,
and- yeah.
rock, metal. Like it's not really like heavy metal.
Yeah.
But basically any concert I'll go to, and I'll go alone. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll just go with whoever.
I've done a bunch of shows alone. There's like
Yeah.
even in radio, they're like, yeah, we got you a pass. I'm like, cool. Sorry,
Hey,
y'all.
you ever need a partner?
Yeah.
You know who to call now. I'm in for
Buddy
everything.
Ricky will go to any
When they come
Yeah.
back. So
concert.
I went to Jay-Z and Kanye, and man, just that concert itself was unbelievable.
Well, the buzz for them before they even got on stage, just the buzz in the arena was nuts because everyone was just like, yes.
And they had those two light up towers that
Yeah.
popped up, and they each had their own. Then would come out, do a song together, two songs together. Then one would dip down, the other one goes even higher. Like crazy,
dude, they're
just crazy. And it wasn't a
insane.
traditional stage.
Yeah.
either. Talk about that concert. I can talk about concerts
so
for hours.
good. It was so good.
But I wanted to ask Devo, what's one thing that people wouldn't know about you? Secret talent, secret hobby, passion. You secretly
You like
love cooking
rom-coms?
Italian.
I bought the Tom Jones CD back in the day because it had It's Not Unusual, which was on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I loved the Carlton Dance. And I bought that CD, and I used to play it when no one else was around.
Shut
Like
up.
the whole album. It was the greatest hits album, and I used to play that, which is pretty stupid, and I've never said that out loud. Which was actually not stupid.
It's a Pals on the camera's dead,
Yeah.
but it's a Pals podcast exclusive.
Except your video's not working.
I know. Shut up. That's so unprofessional. Yeah, I feel really
I'm
embarrassed.
going to deny this. No.
Well, it's okay. The
else,
audio's
man?
We got the audio. We're good.
Yeah, no, I'm bugging. Yeah, that was fun. No, we always used to do the Carlton Dance, so I bought that CD. What else? Man, I'm pretty open about my stuff, man. I'm pretty open.
You're gonna think of something one day, and you're gonna hit us.
I'm
up
gonna
like, hey,
hit you
there's that one
because
thing.
yeah, like I played hockey as a kid. I was pretty decent. I played MTHL here in Toronto. Until like we missed signups one year, but it was also super expensive to play hockey, and our family couldn't really
it
afford it.
still
So I
is,
was
yeah.
okay. Yeah, I was okay with not doing that anymore.
That's why basketball, soccer,
Yeah.
baseball are getting huge in the city because
Those
it's
are
a fraction of the cost.
Basketball's
global.
blowing up.
Yeah,
All my
those are-
little cousins now, like
Yeah.
some play hockey still, but a lot are getting into basketball. My
It's
female
cheap.
cousins.
You already
yeah.
got shoes. All you need is a ball.
All you need is a ball, and there's playgrounds. You can just play
Community,
outside. It's a
yeah.
global sport, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, it's a turnover now. You're seeing it. The newer generation, our age, your age, and now kids, they're growing up on basketball, not hockey.
Especially the facts of the Raptors are
They're seeing
again the
winning
best team in the
cultures.
world.
Yeah. Best
Yeah.
in
So-
the world.
Yeah, man. I don't have anything fun or juicy. I don't think. I got to think about that one.
When we think of it, send us a video. We'll post
Yeah,
it.
I
We'll
will.
post it in the
Because
Pals.
add it on.
We'll hit 'em up.
I'll be like, hey, pals. You know what secret talent I had? I sucked at playing the recorder. I tried to do that. Oh yeah.
can
So
feel that.
when we
Okay, here we go.
Okay, so I was born in Halifax, right? So whatever reason, school there when you're a kid, the instrument they gave you in like little grade school, like grade 2, 3, and 4, was the recorder, and you had to be able to play it. And I sucked at it to the point where I just didn't care. I didn't want to try. Right? We had a dude across the street named Don, like one of the neighbors, and he wasn't like a musician. So my parents were trying to get him to teach me. And I was like, yeah, not having it. So then there's a recital thing or like a little thing, and we're on a stage somewhere, and I faked it. Because it was like with a
Heck
choir,
yeah,
right?
fake it till you make it, baby.
There's a bunch of us, so I'm like, like trying to do Hot Cross Buns, right?
I was just going to say
Yeah.
that's the song for sure.
And so I'm like making the sound in the recorder instead of actually blowing into the recorder and doing that. So I was doing it, I'm like,
You faked the whole thing.
I just faked the whole thing, man, with the recorder by my mouth. And I'm like, my class, I would think I was like 7 or 8 years old. I faked the whole thing. And I just remember being done
Mom's
with
got
it.
this on video for sure, eh?
Oh, dude, it's like, it haunts me to this day that I had to go on stage for that. I was so scared. And
I think
so
everyone had to get
nervous.
that recorded too. I remember when I was in like grade 3, maybe grade 3,
Yeah.
4. I had to do it.
Yeah.
If
Was
there's
it?
someone with zero musical talent, it is I.
Yeah.
Really?
Zero. In my high school, I had long hair in grade 12. So our school play was Jesus Christ Superstar. So I'm
there you
like,
go.
I'm going to be Jesus.
Yeah, you are.
I got there. I sang. He's
You
like,
can't sing, you can't
Hey.
dance, you can't do music.
Yeah, so the-
You're lucky
I
you
guess
got a
the
face
teacher-
for a
the
TV,
teacher
I guess,
asked.
man.
The teacher asked, goes, Rick, have you ever sang before? I was like, fuck, I killed this. He's asking if I ever sang because he's gonna pump my tires.
Yeah.
I was like, no, never. He's like, I can
No.
tell. I was like, all right. He's like, you can't be
fucking
Jesus.
cooked
You could be a soldier. I'm
He
like, all
cooked
right,
you.
Okay.
sick. We got one line. I was
Be a
like,
soldier.
sick. And
Yeah.
then I didn't even do that because I was playing football or something. So that was the start and end
Terrible.
of my musical career.
That's amazing.
That's
Pretty
it.
short-lived.
Very
It's
short.
okay. You'll be a professional podcaster.
There
one
we
day.
go.
We'll see.
There we go.
We'll see.
Yeah, but Devo, this is the time where we usually start to wrap things up, and we
There are
appreciate.
two big questions.
Yeah, we
Okay.
appreciate you
$1 million
coming in
questions.
and sitting down with us
Honestly,
again.
man, thank you. This has been really
No,
cool.
thank you
It's
guys.
so
Yeah.
fun when you have someone who's got so many good stories and willing to
I'm
share.
sure you had a million more too.
I've got a million, man. And
Well, we're
we can
gonna do
it
part
again.
two.
Yeah,
We're
we
definitely
can do it
doing part
another day.
two.
Yeah, we'll do it again another day. And honestly, it's great because I'm usually on the other side of this, so I don't ever. That's why it's hard for me to come up with these things because I'm like, oh, I don't ever talk about me, right?
Yeah.
So it's nice. It's nice to be vain for a minute. So
Yeah.
Well,
appreciate it.
You're always
Love it.
welcome. You
You
have
are
more
always
stories. You're always
welcome.
welcome to come on.
So our two questions we always ask every guest is, if there's a movie about your life, who would you want to star as you?
Oh wow.
Any era, any time in
Anytime.
history.
Oh man, movie about my life. That's a great question, guys.
I've been getting a lot of that lately.
Relax.
I've been getting a lot of that lately. I don't know what's going on.
Who would you want? Yeah, your tires are
Fucking everyone's
full.
pumping Rick's tires these days.
Man, who'd I want to play me? I don't know why I would say this because it really has no relevance to my life, but I'm gonna say De Niro.
I like it.
Such a good
like
actor.
prime De Niro, because I just love every
Like Raging
De Niro.
Bull, Godfather De Niro, yeah.
Like prime De Niro, I love De Niro. I just love everything he's done. Yeah.
Dude, he's been in, if you actually look at his like lineup of movies and how long his career is, it's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the range of it and all that and the type of person he is. You know, I've never got a chance to interview him. You know, he would be a bucket list interview for sure. But I've heard just great things about him too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think just
De
the first
Niro,
person that comes to mind. I don't know why.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
We got one more.
Uh-oh.
If you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
I almost take your advice. Do you, bro? But it's
So glad the camera's not on right now.
oh man, but it's true. It's just you know, I always was true to me, but don't be embarrassed by who you are, where you come from, who the people are around you. Yeah, don't take shit from people. Like, stand up for yourself, and I wish I did that from a younger age. I mean, I did it to a certain extent, but when I got into this corporate world and things like that, I definitely was a little more hesitant to. I didn't want to offend anybody. I didn't want to make people mad because I was scared I'd lose a job or I wouldn't make it. So I think just be confident in you, and and don't be ashamed of where you come from, and continue to just push you and the culture and for everybody else. Like, just like, that's what I try and do on the show, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when you guys are saying you see it and stuff, I go out there and I try and speak for people that are the everyday person that's out there doing what they do. I try and give them a voice when I go out there every day. So, you know,
Like you said, you want to give them that, like, where they can kind of just be in that moment and like see what you're doing and then kind of forget all the problems.
yeah.
Yeah. It's really sound advice, man.
Thanks, guys.
I like it.
It's fun, man.
This
Again,
honestly has been great.
Appreciate
Some
it.
awesome
We're
advice.
definitely getting Devo. You got to come back on for round
I'd
two.
love
We'll
to,
do it.
man. I'd love to.
Maybe we'll do it in the winter. We'll get another spot. We'll do a night on site or something. We'll do something fun.
Pals live to air.
There we-
we'll get a booth.
Ooh.
We'll get a booth in Young and Dundas.
Ooh, there we go. There we go.
All right.
It would be great, but
Yeah, so we'll definitely do another. But if people want to find out more about you, what you're doing, where can they go?
You know what? I'm big on Instagram. Obviously, that's where you hit me up. So just at It's Devo Brown. I got a website. I was one of the first to get websites.
Oh, we loved it. I sent it to Georgie. He's like, I got a face for radio, not for TV or something.
best.
We had a good chuckle
Bro,
about
man,
that.
I did the website thing like in 2003, 2002. I built a website. Like DevoBrown.ca was built then. I've never really given it an opportunity to grow or blossom.
Here we
in
go.
any
It's about
way.
to blow up, right?
Yeah, so it's there. It's a static page, devobrown.com as well. I've been spending the money just to keep the URLs and stuff. Like, you know,
Man, this guy's
register-
a king. This guy's got like 20 domains.
Register.com loves me, man. It's like, here, take my money. I don't need
It's
it.
like
Clearly.
10 years. You've
Yeah.
had like 2 people hit this page. Come on,
Yeah.
man. Like, help us
man.
get some traffic here.
You get the notifications every
Yeah.
couple months.
It's renewing.
So,
You sure
yeah.
want to do this? Yes.
So Instagram, Twitter, we're big on for radio and for the live TV show. People love interacting on Twitter. It's like very instant for them in that sense. So that's it. But yeah, breakfast television, man. We're across Canada. You know, every day, Monday to Friday on City TV and Kiss 92.5. Kiss Radio actually across Canada as well. We do set it off on Saturday nights, 8 to 10, local to your area. So yeah, man, all over the place.
Beauty. So yeah, we'll share the links. We'll make
Yeah,
sure
man,
we'll share
appreciate
everything.
you.
But again, Devo, thanks for coming on, man. You've been awesome, and we look forward to episode 2, I guess.
Yeah, we'll get some point.
Yeah, point 2.
And
But
here's some
yeah,
more good
again,
interviews.
Yeah.
appreciate it. And other than that, signing off, pals.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers.
Peace.
You like to drink and to smoke to take away the pain. And I don't remember all of my mistakes and every high. Got alone with no one thing. You're not alright, I'm not